Ozark Highlands Radio is brought to you by the Ozark Folk Center State Park in Mountain View, Arkansas. A wonderful way to enjoy yesterday. On the web at ozarkfolkcenter.com. And by Stone Bank, a community bank supporting entrepreneurs and farmers nationwide with loans guaranteed by the USDA, SBA, and Farm Services Agency. Learn more at stonebank.com. And the Arkansas Arts Council, empowering the arts for the benefit of all Arkansans. On the web at arkansasarts.org. And by the Committee of 100 for the Ozark Folk Center, preserving Ozark folk culture since 1974 through music roots, craft apprenticeships, and the Heritage Herb Garden. Learn more at ofc100.org.
Hey everybody, this is Dave Smith, host of Ozark Highlands Radio. Welcome to our show. This week, a special road trip episode to the 2024 Walnut Valley Festival, featuring up-and-coming Irish fingerstyle guitar master Shane Hennessy. Also a performance from each of this year's Walnut Valley Guitar Champions. Our producer Jeff Glover offers an archival recording of Ozark original guitarists Danny Dozier and Randy Buckner, and guest host Brooks Blevins discusses tornadoes in the Ozarks. All that this week on Ozark Highlands Radio. The annual Walnut Valley Festival, now in its 53rd season, is one of the oldest and most respected acoustic music festivals in the world. Held at the Winfield, Kansas Fairgrounds, more than 30 musical acts will perform on 4 separate stages, presenting over 200 hours of live music. This week we feature Irish musician Shane Hennessy. Shane is a virtuoso fingerstyle guitarist, singer-songwriter, and composer. With an upbringing in the world of Irish traditional music, Shane has been captivating audiences globally for the past few years, with sell-out tours in Europe and North America, as well as regular appearances at major international music festivals, including Merlefest, Sound of Europe Festival in Dusseldorf, the Milwaukee Irish Fest, and the Walnut Valley Bluegrass Festival. Here's Shane Hennessy, recorded live on stage in Winfield, Kansas.
All right, well, as most of you probably know at this stage, I am from Ireland, and I grew up playing an awful lot of Irish traditional music. So would you mind if I played some of the music from back home for you? Good, good. I like how much of an Irish vibe there is at Winfield every year. I'm glad to see the lads in socks in the frying pan back again this year. A great bunch of lads. So I know I can speak for all of us when I say that we really appreciate getting to come over here to the United States, and particularly in a musical heaven such as Winfield, to come down and play some of our music for you. So I grew up playing the concertina. That was my first instrument, like a little hexagon-shaped accordion. And I wanted to play nothing but Irish traditional music up until from age 4 when I started until about age 12. And then when I was 12 years old, I became obsessed with the music of James Taylor. And that's what got me to start playing the guitar and taking an interest in the guitar for the very first time. And what I did was I taught myself how to play. I remember asking my dad for a lesson, and he said, yeah, I want to sit down and show you, you know, G and C and D. And I told him, I don't care about any of that stuff. I want to play like James Taylor. And he said, well, look, if you want to play like James Taylor, you're going to have to start with the basics first and move upwards. And I said, no, I'm not having any of that. So I sat down with his CD player and his guitar in the kitchen of our house, and I used to listen to James Taylor's CDs, picking out all the individual notes, and that's how I taught myself how to play the guitar. And what was really natural progression for me doing that was then transferring all of the Irish music that I had learned when I was younger than I was at that time, at 12, transferring all those tunes onto the guitar and kind of making sense of it from there. So this is usually a sort of a make-it-up-as-you-go-along medley for me. Whatever tunes pop into my head, that's usually what I play. So I hope you enjoy. This is a little bit of music from back home in Ireland. Thanks very much. Well, I'm going to stay on the Irish theme with you. Growing up, I spoke two languages primarily. I spoke English and Irish, known as Gaeilge, or Irish Gaelic, as it's sometimes called. And I feel very fortunate to have been brought up with a deep appreciation for Irish culture. Learning to speak the language has definitely opened up an avenue to me of appreciating all of the sean-nós style of music in Ireland, which translates to old way or old style. And I'd like to sing you one of those songs. This is a song it's from the west of Ireland, and it's called She the Wamo I Caile Chonarigits, which translates to She's Your Grandmother, the Witch with the Money. And it's a song about a woman who is essentially targeted. She's actually an immortal woman. They don't realize this. She's an immortal woman with magical powers, and she's very, very rich. So all the young guys in the town decide to hatch a plan to try and marry her to win her fortune when she eventually dies, but she outlives all of them. So what I do in this tune is that I play the guitar sort of as normal, but I also found the sound of the Irish bowron, the hand drum, on the body of my guitar. So I'm going to be playing the guitar and my guitar bowron at the same time. So hope you enjoy this, folks. This is She the Wamo I Caile Chonarigits. She the Wamo, she the Wamo, she the Wamo, she Caile Chonarigits. She the Wamo, yo, near is warranty. Das Heilig, she cost you away the Chonarigits. Da vekas sa shima shtoni rino rohiko and she pashira na karomi. Do khasa shishtur nyanyore no khus ni khalik shishwal la kaide khanarigits. Master one boss, Kaile Chonarigits. Well, tossen na boss, tossen wo, akas dov Chonarigits. She the wamo, she the wamo, she the wamo, she Kaile Chonarigits. She the wamo, yo, nerish warranty. Chaylik she koshti yo, ide Chonarigits. Geilets gebosses, bald eine Malischa. Nach geilets gebosses, schon in der Schword. Agus moide nicht hassi. She the wamo, she the wamo, she the wamo, she Caile Chonarigits. She the wamo, yo, near is warranty. Scheurig, she kost you away the Chonarigits. Is warranty. Dus geurig zie kost die weder gescherigen. Got me in a magui charza. Thank you very much. She the Wamo I Caile Chonarigits. All right, are we enjoying ourselves so far? Good. Well, I'd like to play a tune for you. This is a tune of mine that I wrote called Avenue. And I often use this to explain my arrangement style for the guitar, because what I tend to do is, what I try to do most times, is that when I'm composing for the guitar, I actually don't compose on the guitar at all. I compose away from the guitar as much as possible. So that can mean pen and paper. It can mean, in most cases, voice memos for me. It's where I come up with a lot of ideas and I transcribe them, I should say, onto the guitar and then try and find a way to play them as a soloist. So this piece is a good example of that. What I did was, to write this tune, I came up with a melody in my head, with lyrics, by the way, because lyrics sometimes help to solidify the melodic idea. What I did was I came up with an idea with lyrics, and it goes something like this. Walking down the avenue, killing time. Those city beats always on my mind. So that was my first vocal idea. So I found that on the neck of the guitar. That's step number one. Then I think, okay, if I were directing a band right now, what would I get each band member to do? So if I had a keyboard player, for example, on the stage, I would tell them to play E minor and A7, something like this. Then you think about the drummer, what would you get your drummer to do? And in this case, I'd ask my drummer to play a backbeat on the 2 and the 4. And then I would ask my bass player to walk the bass up and down like this. I'd get my drummer to play a couple of ghost notes. And then what we do is we bring the melody back in on top. Thank you very much, everyone. That is Avenue.
You've been listening to Irish guitar fingerpicker Shane Hennessy, playing at the Walnut Valley Festival in Winfield, Kansas. In that set, we heard a medley of fine traditional Irish tunes, a traditional Gaelic song, She's Your Grandmother, the Witch with the Money, and finally an original tune from Shane called Avenue. It's time for a short break. When we come back, let's go down to the vault to see if our friend Jeff Glover has any recordings of great Ozark fingerpickers. This is Ozark Highlands Radio. Welcome back to Ozark Highlands Radio. Hey, let's head down to the vault. I've got a question for Jeff Glover. Come on down.
Well, hello, Dave. How's it
Hi,
going?
Jeff, doing good? You doing okay down here?
Man, just fantastic.
Gosh, you've got such an array of stuff to work with here, man.
It's a myriad of musical opportunities down here. That's absolutely right.
Hey, we're doing that Shane Hennessy show this week.
Oh, yeah.
Great finger picker. Every year we've had a finger picking contest here at the Ozark Folk Center for many, many, many years, the Merle Travis Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if you've got any good stuff that you've recorded back then.
Well, after listening to Shane Hennessy and all that, I kind of got inspired to go back and listen to some of our guitar players. And I actually came across a recording recently of a couple of our guys playing at the Merle Travis Festival. A guy named Danny Dozier.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows.
Yep.
And another guy also from Springfield, Missouri named Randy Buckner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And in this recording, they're playing together, doing a tune that you hear often at those festivals and contests.
Yeah.
It's a tune called I'll See You in My Dreams.
Finger picker's favorite.
Yep. They love this one. You want to hear the recording?
Yeah, let's hear it. Boy, those guys can pick good, can't they?
Oh, yeah. Danny, Randy, both those guys are
yeah.
great.
We've featured Danny a number of times on this show. He's just a great guy, too.
And I just love that tune.
Yeah.
Hey, before you go, I have little bits and pieces of things that I recorded in Winfield, aside from all the people like Shane Hennessy.
Yeah.
And one thing that I got to record was a little concert put on by the Fingerstyle Guitar Championship winners from Winfield last year. Would you like to hear these guys?
Oh, gosh, those will be the best guys around.
Beginning with the third place winner is a guy named Hiroya Tsukamoto doing his original tune called Coast to Coast.
Folks, we have your 2024 National Fingerstyle Guitar Champions up here. On this side of the stage, we have Hiroya. On the other side, we have Mikey Bilello. And who's that guy in the middle? Stephen Bennett. Have at it, boys.
I'd like to share also original piece. And this is entitled From Coast to Coast. Thank you very much.
Oh boy, that guy's a fine picker.
Oh, he is. He's
Yeah.
really, really good. Yeah. Next, we have a guy named Mikey Bilello, who was the second place winner, and he's doing a Ray Charles tune called "Hallelujah, I Love Her So."
Okay, let's hear that.
All right.
Hi everybody. I'm gonna play you my favorite Ray Charles song. Let me tell you about a girl I know. She's my baby and she lives next door. Every morning before the sun comes up, she gives me coffee in my favorite cup. That's why I know, Lord, I know. Hallelujah, I just love her so. And when I call her on the telephone and tell her that I'm all alone, by the time I count from 1 to 4, I hear her knocking on my door. In the evening when the sun goes down and there is nobody else around, she kisses me and she holds me tight and tells me, Daddy, everything's alright. That's why I know, Lord, I know. Hallelujah, I just love her so.
That Mikey Bilello is no slouch of a picker himself, is he?
No,
Man.
no. All these guys are fantastic.
Yeah, that's a great tune, too.
Yeah, yeah. Next is the first place winner. Is a guy named Stephen Bennett, who has actually won the flat picking competition way back in the 80s. Now he's back and he's won first place in the fingerstyle competition, playing an original tune that he wrote about his cat called Greta Fletcher, Is That You?
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, everybody.
We had a
There
great
you
time
have
playing
your
for you.
2024 fingerstyle champions, Hiroya, Mikey Bilello, and Stephen Bennett.
Well, a song about a cat. What do you know? And a guy who won first place in both the guitar championships.
That's absolutely right, yeah.
Man, well, thank you very much, Jeff. Hey, it's time for another short break. When we return, our friend Brooks Blevins will continue his brief history of Ozark tornadoes. You're listening to Ozark Highlands Radio. Welcome back to Ozark Highlands Radio. This week, author and historian Dr. Brooks Blevins speaks of an event that's all too common in the Ozarks.
If you grew up in the Ozarks or you've lived in the Ozarks, I'll guarantee you've got a tornado story or two. I hope yours are stories of near misses, but for some folks, the stories are of destruction, sometimes even death. Let's head back in the hills to wrap up this 3-part series on tornadoes and their musical legacy in the Ozarks. In our last installment, we chronicled the costliest twister in American history, the one that hit Joplin, Missouri back in 2011, and the most deadly, which was born in the Missouri Ozarks in 1925 before rampaging across southern Illinois and Indiana. But there have been plenty of other memorable storms that showed no mercy to the people of the Ozarks. The deadliest tornado during the American Civil War was churned up in the hills of Perry County, Missouri, in November of 1864. A tornado outbreak in the Missouri Ozarks during a different war, World War I, killed more than 60 people on May 30th, 1917. In 1920, a storm struck Carroll and Boone counties in northern Arkansas, killing 24 people and wiping out half the town of Green Forest. The terrible 20s, the worst tornado decade in history, continued in May of 1927 when a cyclone cut a 60-mile trail up the eastern edge of the Ozarks from Lawrence County, Arkansas to Poplar Bluff, Missouri. Still among the 20 deadliest in American history, the storm took 98 lives, 83 of them in Poplar Bluff. Before Joplin, though, the deadliest outbreak of tornadoes confined to the Ozarks happened way back on April 18, 1880, when 3 separate twisters killed at least 137 people. The most destructive and most famous of the 3 was the Marshfield Cyclone, or what locals referred to as the Great Cyclone. Blazing a 64-mile path up to half a mile wide from Berry County, Missouri to Webster County, the Great Cyclone took 92 lives in the little town of Marshfield alone. It demolished all but 15 buildings in that thriving railroad town. On the same day, a twister completely destroyed the Morgan County village of Barnettsville, killing 14 and injuring 90. The so-called Finley Creek tornado killed 31 and left 100 wounded on its 93-mile trek from McDonald County to Wright County. It appears that most of the rural victims of the latter 2 tornadoes had to fend for themselves or rely on neighbors in the aftermath, but towns near and far rallied to the aid of Marshfieldians. Doctors arrived on handcars and special trains from Conway, Springfield, and Lebanon, and converted the courthouse and a school into hospitals. The state sent tents for the homeless. People in St. Louis raised $2,000 for the recovery effort and sent it down the Frisco line. Carthage, Missouri sent $1,500, Lebanon $1,200. In all, about $7,000 in donations poured into Marshfield, and the state legislature appropriated more than $12,000 to repair damages done to public buildings. Doctors treated numerous head wounds, finding gravel, sand, and dirt embedded in scalps and faces. They amputated 8 limbs. A sort of communal depression seemed to descend on the survivors, many of whom refused to talk about lost loved ones. Before long, Marshfield, Missouri was known around the nation as Tornado Town. That was largely due to Blind Boone and his most famous musical composition. Blind Boone was John William Boone, a black ragtime piano player who was born and raised in Missouri. The teenaged Boone had begun his professional career as a touring concert pianist just 3 months before the tornado hit Marshfield. Moved by the event, he composed his most famous work, a heart-pounding, whirling dervish of a song called the Marshfield Cyclone. It became Boone's most anticipated piece at the thousands of concerts he played over the course of his long career. Unfortunately, we'll never hear the music that recreated the fury of a twister. Boone never recorded it, nor did anyone commit it to sheet music. According to legend, Boone considered the song a part of his very soul and felt it should die with him, which it did in October 1927, 47 and a half years after the tornado that inspired it. It's unfortunate that we'll never hear Boone's Marshfield Cyclone, but we have at least one surviving song about an Ozarks tornado. On Thanksgiving Day in 1926, a twister strafed a swath through the town of Heber Springs, Arkansas, killing 17 people, including the husband and child of Almeda Riddle, a 27-year-old woman who decades later would become the Ozarks' greatest ballad singer. Most of her songs ranged from ancient to just plain old, except for one that her father wrote, called the Heber Springs Tornado. In performances, she always skipped one verse because she could never get through it. Here's Almeda Riddle singing her most personal song. It was recorded by Max Hunter in 1970, more than 43 years after the Heber Springs tornado, and it's courtesy of the online Max Hunter Folk Song Collection at Missouri State University.
'Twas on Thanksgiving Day, and the town of Heber Springs was visited by a cyclone and partly swept away. The people, no doubt, were feasting. They never thought so soon than by a dreadful tornado they'd shortly meet their doom. They saw the storm approaching. The clouds looked low and black, and through that little city it left a dreadful track. They saw the cyclone coming, and it's too sad to relate. The happiest of families there had to separate. Now, Max, I'm going to skip one verse. It's about me personally, and for some reason I choke up on that one. As you know, my husband and son, as I told you, was killed. This is just concerning myself. They saw the lightning flashing. They heard the thunder roar. Such tears were in that city as never known before. And as the storm came near them, they heard the people cry, "O Lord, have mercy on us. Is this our time to die? Some people in that city declared it was God's word to cause the great tornado to do its awful work. They pointed to where churches where they'd refuse to go to pay to their Redeemer the debt of thanks they owed.
Thanks, Brooks. Let's finish up today's show with some more tunes from our featured guest, guitarist Shane Hennessy. Initially a concertina player, he achieved early successes in competitions in Ireland. He then turned to the guitar at age 12, inspired by the music of James Taylor. Shane has since developed an unmistakable unique voice as a fingerstyle guitarist, blending his native Irish music with elements of jazz, country, blues, funk, classical, soul, world, and hip-hop. He starts this set with a song from the 19th century, following with a tune he wrote.
Thank you very much. That's American Patrol by Glenn Miller. That was one of my grandfather's favorite pieces of music. I can remember him playing it a lot when I was very young, when I would go over to his house. All right. Well, I'd like to play you a piece of music that's very personal and very special to me. I wrote this piece a couple of years back when I was living in Dublin, before I was working full-time as a musician. I remember college hadn't gone the way I'd hoped, and I dropped out of my college course. I was working in a music shop for a little while in Dublin city centre, and then gigging in the pubs at night as my income. But I knew that that was also making me miserable, because I knew that what I wanted to do in life was this, what I'm doing right now. But at the time, I couldn't see a path forwards as to how this would end up being my career. And I remember it was the first time in my life that I really started struggling with depression and mental health issues in general. And one night in particular, I was full of all this really negative energy. It was about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't sleep. I was totally wound up. And usually what I do when I feel like that is I'll pick up the guitar, or I'll pick up whatever musical instrument is close, and I'll try to find some answers for the questions that I might have on the inside. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but this one particular night, this next piece of music that I'd like to play for you just came out all in one piece, and as soon as it did, I felt an awful lot better. So this tune seems to resonate with an awful lot of people. So I'd like to send this out to anybody here or anybody in your family and friends who are feeling similarly or going through the same kind of stuff at the moment. I'd like to send this out to all of you. I hope you enjoy this, folks. This is Sailing to Shore. Thank you so much, everyone. That's Sailing to Shore.
Two more songs by Irish guitarist Shane Hennessy. First, we heard American Patrol, written by F.W. Meacham in 1885. Shane followed that one with one of his original songs, Sailing to Shore. We're out of time for this week. I hope you've enjoyed all this great guitar playing. We'll be back next week with more great music and folklore. This is your host, Dave Smith. Thanks for listening to Ozark Highlands Radio.
Ozark Highlands Radio is produced by Jeff Glover. Executive producer is Darren Dorton. Additional support for this program comes from Arkansas State Parks, a division of the Arkansas Department of Parks, Heritage, and Tourism, with 52 unique reasons to visit the natural state. On the web at arkansasstateparks.com. The Committee of 100 proudly supporting the Ozark Folk Center State Park since 1974, and by Stone Bank with roots in Mountain View, Arkansas. Stone Bank is a proud supporter of heritage musicians and small towns across America, with government-guaranteed loans for farmers, entrepreneurs, and communities. More information available at stonebank.com. For information on upcoming shows and events, we are on the web at ozarkhighlandsradio.com. Until next time, I'm Donna Farrar.